Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English Learning Podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emma. We're so happy you're here with us today. If you're new to our channel, this podcast is a great way to practice English through real conversations.
That's right, and today we have a very important topic to talk about. We are going to talk about criticism and feedback, and how we can learn from it. Sometimes when people tell us what we did wrong, it can feel uncomfortable, but it can also help us grow and become better.
Yes, exactly. Many people feel bad when they hear criticism. It's normal to feel that way. But if we listen carefully and try to understand the message, we can actually improve a lot. Whether it's at work, at school, or in our personal life, feedback helps us see things we didn't notice before.
Let's start with a simple question. Why do we feel bad when someone gives us criticism? I think it's because we often feel like we are being attacked. It feels personal, even when the other person just wants to help. We feel embarrassed or ashamed. But if we change how we think about criticism, we can use it to become stronger and smarter.
That's so true, Alex. I used to hate getting feedback. When someone told me I made a mistake, I felt like I was not good enough. But over time, I realized that feedback is not a bad thing. It's actually a gift. It helps me learn, improve, and avoid the same mistake in the future. Now I try to listen with an open mind.
Yes, and it's important to remember that no one is perfect. We all make mistakes. Even people who are experts still learn new things every day. When someone gives us feedback, we should try to listen, ask questions, and think about how we can use the advice. This shows that we want to grow.
Exactly. And we should also remember that not all criticism is bad. Some people give constructive criticism, which means they tell you how to do better in a kind and helpful way. This kind of feedback is very useful. For example, if someone says, "You did well, but maybe try to speak a little more slowly," that's constructive. It helps you improve without hurting your feelings.
That's a great example. On the other hand, sometimes we receive negative or rude comments. These are not helpful, and they don't teach us anything. If someone says that was terrible and they don't explain why, we can choose not to take it seriously. We should only accept feedback that is useful and respectful.
Yes, and we also need to control our emotions when we hear criticism. It's easy to get angry or sad, but it's better to stay calm. Take a deep breath and say, "Thank you for your feedback." Then take some time to think about it. Ask yourself, is this true? Can I learn from this?
And I think it's important to remember that when someone gives feedback, it doesn't mean they don't like us. In fact, many times they care about us and want us to do well. A teacher, a boss, or a friend who gives feedback is trying to help. That means they believe in us and think we can improve.
Yes, and we should also try to ask for feedback. That shows confidence. For example, after a job interview or a class presentation, you can say, "Do you have any advice for me?" Or "What can I do better next time?" This is a great way to learn, and it also shows that you are open and mature.
That's a good point. Asking for feedback makes us better at everything. Whether we are learning English, working on a project, or trying a new skill, we improve faster when we listen to others. I remember when I started learning to speak in public, I asked my teacher, "How can I improve?" She told me to make more eye contact and speak more slowly. At first, I felt shy, but I practiced, and now I feel much more confident.
That's a great story, Alex. I had a similar experience when I started recording podcasts. I used to speak too fast and didn't pause enough. One of our listeners told me, "I like your voice, but sometimes it's hard to understand you." At first, I was a little embarrassed, but then I realized it was good advice. I started to slow down and speak more clearly, and now I'm glad they told me.
Exactly. When we use feedback to improve, we feel more powerful. We learn from our mistakes and become better. That's the real meaning of growth. And learning English is the same. If someone corrects your grammar or your pronunciation, don't feel bad. Say thank you and try again.
And don't forget, everyone makes mistakes when they're learning a new language. Even native speakers make mistakes. The important thing is to keep going. Don't let fear stop you. Accept feedback with a smile and use it to grow. That's how you become a better English speaker.
Well said, Emma. And if you're enjoying this podcast and learning something new, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep making content for English learners like you.
Yes, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And feel free to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. What kind of feedback have you received and how did it help you?
All right, now let's continue. We just talked about how feedback helps us improve, but sometimes it can still hurt. So what can we do when criticism feels painful?
That's a great question. Sometimes, even when feedback is helpful, it can make us feel bad. Maybe we feel like we failed or we feel embarrassed. That's normal. When that happens, it's okay to take a short break. You don't have to respond right away. You can say, "Thank you, I will think about that," and then take some time to relax.
Yes, and after we feel calm, we can return to the feedback and ask, what can I learn from this? For example, if someone says your writing needs more detail, don't think, I'm a bad writer. Instead, think, okay, I can add more examples next time. This small change in thinking makes a big difference.
It really does, and sometimes we need to talk to a friend or someone we trust. They can help us see things more clearly. Maybe they say you did your best, or that feedback is not fair, or maybe they help you understand how to use it. Talking to someone can help you feel stronger.
I agree. Talking it out can help a lot. And over time, criticism gets easier. The more we practice listening to feedback, the stronger we become. It's like a muscle. The first time it feels heavy, but later it becomes easier to carry.
That's a great way to put it, Alex. It's just like learning English. At first, everything feels hard, but with practice and feedback, it becomes easier. You learn faster, you make fewer mistakes, and you feel more confident.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. How to build confidence and use feedback to grow, especially when learning English. We'll share some helpful strategies and tips you can use every day.
So, like we said before the break, let's now talk about how to build confidence while learning from feedback. Because let's be honest, sometimes criticism makes us doubt ourselves. But the good news is we can train ourselves to feel stronger and more positive even after receiving difficult feedback.
Yes, that's so true. One good way to build confidence is to focus on what you're doing right. Sometimes we only hear the negative things and we forget all the good things we've done. So if someone gives you feedback like, your pronunciation needs work, but your vocabulary is great, try to remember both parts. You have something to work on, but you also have something to feel proud of.
That's a great tip, Emma. I also think it helps to look at feedback as part of your learning journey. Nobody starts perfect. Think about a baby learning to walk. The baby falls down many times, but still keeps trying. The parents don't say, "Oh no, you fell again." They smile and say, "Great job, you're getting better." We should treat ourselves the same way.
I love that comparison, Alex. We need to be kind to ourselves. If we try and fail, it doesn't mean we are bad, it just means we're learning. And learning always includes mistakes. When we think like this, we feel less afraid of feedback. We become curious. We want to know what we can do better.
Exactly. Another great way to use feedback is to write it down. If someone gives you advice or corrects your English, take a notebook and write it in a feedback journal. You can write what the person said and how you will improve. Over time, you'll see your progress. You'll feel proud because you can see how far you've come.
Yes, that's such a helpful idea. Writing down your feedback also helps you remember it better. You can look back and review it before your next presentation, speaking practice, or writing task. And you'll be able to say, I used to make this mistake, but not anymore.
Right. Now, let's talk about giving feedback, not just receiving it, because giving feedback is also a very useful skill. When we learn to give feedback to others, we also become better at learning. We understand what good work looks like, and we learn how to be kind and helpful at the same time.
Absolutely. When you give feedback, try to be polite and clear. For example, instead of saying, "That was wrong," you can say, "I think it would be better if you said it like this," or "You did a great job, and I think this part could be improved." This way, the person doesn't feel attacked. They feel supported.
And giving feedback helps us become better learners because we are paying attention. If you're in a group English class and someone else is speaking, try to notice what they do well and what they can improve. When you give them helpful advice, you also learn from their mistakes.
That's so true. I remember when I was in a study group for English, one of my classmates always helped others with grammar. She would say, "That sentence is almost correct, but the verb should be in the past tense." And by helping others, she improved her own grammar. She got better because she explained it again and again.
Yes, teaching is a powerful way to learn. Now, let's also talk about how to tell the difference between useful feedback and unhelpful criticism, because not all comments are worth listening to.
Yes, that's very important. If someone gives feedback in a rude or mean way, you don't have to accept it. For example, if someone says, "You're terrible at speaking English," and doesn't give any help or reason, that's not useful. That kind of comment is just hurtful. It doesn't help you grow.
Exactly. Useful feedback is clear, kind, and specific. It tells you what to improve and maybe even how to improve. For example, your English is good, but try to work on your pronunciation of the sound is clear and helpful. It gives you something to work on.
Yes, and one way to protect yourself from negative criticism is to build a positive learning environment. Try to study with people who support you and want you to improve. Join groups or online communities where people are kind and respectful. It's easier to grow when you feel safe.
That's such an important point. Learning can be hard, and we need support. That's why we always try to make this podcast a positive place for learners. We want everyone listening to feel welcome and encouraged.
Exactly. And remember, feedback is not the final judgment. It's just a step in the journey. It's information. You get to decide what to do with it. You can use it to give up or to grow. And I hope you choose growth every time.
Yes, choose growth and be patient with yourself. Improving your English takes time. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep learning step by step. And every time you accept feedback and use it to improve, you're doing something amazing.
And remember, even native English speakers are still learning new words and expressions. Learning never ends. So be proud of yourself for every small step you take. And never be afraid of feedback. It's your friend.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. But before we go, we want to remind you, if you've found this podcast helpful, please give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel. It really supports us and helps more learners find this podcast.
Yes, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. We post weekly, and every podcast is designed to help you learn English in a fun and simple way.
Also, feel free to leave a comment below. Tell us, have you ever received feedback that helped you grow? Or was there a time when criticism felt hard to accept? We'd love to hear your story.
And if you want to practice your English, you can even write your comment in English. We read everything, and we're always cheering for you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Remember, feedback is not the end, it's just the beginning of something better.
Yes, take it step by step, be proud of your progress, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Until next time, keep learning and stay confident. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.